Welcome to Fab Talk with Trish M, prophet, pastor, teacher, CEO of Trish M Enterprises, author, wife, mother, and your podcast host. If you're ready for the word, the way, and the truth, then this podcast is for you. Get ready for another level in the things of God, motivation, inspiration, and empowerment that's going to catapult you to new dimensions. Hold on tight. It's time for Fab Talk with your girl, Trish M. Hello, everybody. Happy fabulous day to you. It's your girl, Trish M, and y'all know what time it is. It's time for Fab Talk with Trish M, where I give you the word, the way, and the truth, the real deal, Holyfield, the good in the hood, the yum for your tum. Okay, I give you whatever it is that the Lord has given me to be a blessing unto you. So I pray that this falls on good ground. As shout out to everybody that's watching me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much. You could have been doing anything in the world, but God saw fit for you to tune in to your girl, okay? So do me a favor, if you're watching live on Facebook, share the broadcast, start a watch party, tag somebody that needs to hear this. We got a very important topic that we're going to be talking about on today, and I don't want you to miss out, okay? So y'all know I'm not on here that long. So let me give you some church announcements. Listen, y'all, it's about that time, the Speak Lord Prophetic Mega Conference. If you need a word from the Lord, if you're ready to be refreshed, listen, we got early bird registration going on right now at https:// Speak Lord 2023.eventbrite.com. That's Speak Lord 2023.eventbrite.com. Don't miss this. The lineup is bananas. I got some prophets in the house that's ready to release a dynamic word from the Lord. I got yourself, Prophetess Trish Morissette. I got Prophetess Linda Gwynn coming in. I got my husband, Senior Pastor Derek Morissette, Bishop Maurice Valentine, Prophetess Celicia Valentine. We got Prophet Charlie Boutwell. Listen, it is going to be dynamic. You don't want to miss it. You need to hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying prophetically through his prophets for such a time as this. So I just want to encourage you to show up, because things happen when you show up. So anywho, early bird registration ends in like 2 weeks, so make sure you get in where you fit in. Okay. Y'all listen, I got a dynamic topic that I'm going to be breaking the bread with you on. The topic that I'm giving you is, did you really forgive them? My goodness. Did you really forgive them? That's a word that we all have to make sure that we are being self-aware and not in denial, okay? Because forgiveness is necessary. It's a part of life. It's a part of this Christian walk that we're living in. We have to make sure, as citizens of the kingdom of God, that we do a heart check, that we do a mindset check, that we make sure that we are letting go and letting God have his way. So I'm going to give you today some very strategic things that's going to help you understand, have I truly forgiven them? All right, y'all, I got to say this again. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to your girl Trish M. I see my Instagram is popping in. We're coming in a little late on Instagram, but listen, I want to make sure that y'all get this, okay? So here we go. Did you really forgive them? Because that is the word of the day. Now, I want to go back and I want to talk about how important it is for us as Christians to walk in forgiveness and to be self-aware of our emotions. We have to be self-aware of where we are right now in this thing called life. And like I said, forgiveness is not an option. Forgiveness is necessary. The Bible tells us in Mark 11 and 25, it says, and whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father also who is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses. Here's another one: bear with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other as the Lord has forgiven you, so that you must also be forgiven. So that's why I say, for those of us that are Christians, that are living for the Lord, forgiveness is not an option. It's a lifestyle. It's something that we have to practice over and over and over again, every single day, or every time a situation arises and we feel that bitterness, that anger. We're human. We're going to feel these emotions, right? So, but my thing is that as Christians, we have to make sure that we are self-aware and we're self-checking whether we have truly forgiven. Why? And I got to say this out loud. Y'all, forgiveness is a salvation issue, right? So we can't say, oh, I'm saved. I'm saved. I believe in Jesus. I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior. And then we die holding so much bitterness and anger and all of this in our hearts, because when we get before the Lord, he's going to say, you know what? I never knew you, because you had not love. The scripture says, if we have not love, we have not God. And that could be for any one particular person. You could love the whole world, but that one person, oh Lord, that one person is that one person. Okay. Listen, let me tell you something. That does not work with God. That works in our own mind. That okay, I'm doing it right by everybody else, but I can't forgive him. I can't forgive her. I can't forgive them. What they did, how they did, when they did. Because of how it made you feel and the process that you had to go through in life. Again, I got to say this: forgiveness is not an option. Forgiveness is a lifestyle, and it is a salvation issue, because when you get before the Lord, after it's all said and done, you don't want to hear him say, I never knew you, because you had not love and you had not me. You acted like you loved, but you didn't. You were faking it until you thought you could make it. And because you didn't forgive, I cannot forgive you. So as a Christian, forgiveness is not an option. It's a lifestyle. It's something that we have to do over and over again. Why? Because God does it for us over and over and over again. When we mess up, when we fall short, when a man, he talks about this. He said, how many times I gotta forgive him? The man in the Bible said, how many times do I have to forgive them if they keep doing stuff to me? And he said 7 times, 7, whatever that was in the Bible, right? So that lets us know that it doesn't matter how often someone hurts us, how often we get hurt, how often who did it and why they did it. Our goal as Christians, if we are who we say we are, our goal is to forgive. Now, listen, I'm human too. I have had people to lie, to cheat, to manipulate, to backbite, to do whatever they could to try to hurt me, right, in the past. And you know how we can easily have a get back spirit, or we can easily feel a certain kind of way, and we can easily let those emotions take control of who we are and who God has called us to be. But it is up to us to make up in our mind to forgive those that have come against us, to forgive those that have talked about us, that have gossiped on us, that have misused us, abused us, and not taking care of who we are and what we bring to the table. So many, that's called life. We're always going to have a Judas, okay? Because Jesus had one. We're always going to have a Judas. We're always going to have someone who mishandles us. We're always going to have someone who does the dirt, okay, and think it's okay. And so, in that happening to me, I had to make sure that I detox daily. I had to make sure that I let go and let God. And I had to be intentional about doing it, so that that stuff don't sit in my heart. From the abundance of the heart, the mouth begins to speak, and your mouth will begin to speak things that will confirm to you you're not over it. Your mouth will begin to speak things that will let you know you're still dealing with the issue and the tissue and the junk in the trunk, and it's time to let go and let God. So it is a salvation issue. We must choose every single day to love. We must choose every single day to forgive. Why? Because God did it for us, and I'm reminded of the parable when Jesus was telling how many times to forgive, and then he started going in and talking about the master the servant who begged the master to forgive his debt, and eventually the master said, "Okay, I wiped your slate clean. You're forgiven. You no more debt. Just go forth." And then when he went out and somebody messed with his money or messed with him, he didn't forgive. He didn't let that person go. And so, and the Bible talks about, it says the master called the servant in, and this is what he told him. He said, "You wicked servant." He said, "I cancel all that debt of yours because you begged me to." He said, "Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant just as I had on you?" In anger, his master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all that was owed. This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother and your sister. And so, from your heart, this is Jesus saying, this is how God is going to handle you. And when God gives us over to be tortured, that means demonic spirits. That means that open door and a portal for the enemy to come in and mess with us mentally and physically, financially, relationally. We open that door. God did not open that door because of the choices that we make. We choose to not forgive. We choose to not let go. We choose to cover it up as if we're okay and we're really not. And so God is saying, now because you have done that, you have opened up the door for the demonic forces to come in, to rule and reign, to do what they do, all because there is something in your heart that is not right. And so the question is, as Christians, because it has to be a lifestyle, it has to be a choice that we make every single day, over and over again, no matter who it is. So, if somebody keep messing with you, frustrating you more than they're blessing you, it's okay to forgive and let them go. You don't have to keep holding on to somebody that keeps messing with you in that way. But you have to make sure you're not holding on to foolishness and you're not harboring bitterness in your heart. Now, here's the big thing. Here's the juicy thing that I really want to get to. How do you know if you have truly forgiven? Because we've all had people that come against us, to hurt us, to manipulate, to lie, to cheat, to gossip, to backbite. We've all had people to come against us and challenge us in these areas. So the real question is, how can you tell as a Christian if you have truly forgiven that person or persons? So I'm going to give you some stuff that will help you today. Here's how to tell if you need to do more forgiveness work. Okay. This is number one. You need to do more work on detoxing and letting go when you use what the person said or did as a topic of conversation. Right? You're talking about it. You're talking about they did this, and you keep talking about it, right? You're letting people know that they are liars. You're letting people know that they are cheaters, that they are abusive, that they are or whatever. One way to know that you have not forgiven that person is you use what they said or what they did as a topic of conversation. And now you're letting people know that's close to you, how they hurt you, what they did, all of that. So if it's a topic for conversation, be careful, right? Because when you're going through certain things in life, it really shouldn't be talked about uh, unless it's somebody close to you that know how to guide you through it, pray you through it, give you wise counsel through it. Like when somebody has hurt you and come against you, it can turn into a gossip trail of your bitterness and you releasing the subject to other people. And so you have to be careful that when you're talking about what they did, yes, you have to let it out. You have to let go. You have to discuss it with somebody, but you have to be careful that when you start discussing it with somebody, that it doesn't come into a form of gossip. It doesn't form into, oh, let me tell you what they did, because you need to know that they are low down, dirty dogs, and they don't do what they say, and they're not saved for real. And how can the church hurt people? You know what I'm saying? Church hurt people. Like I heard in the church of people that, they did this, and now it's a gossip trail because you're trying to tell your story of what they did and how they did it, but you're not telling it to the right people. Like when you have been hurt, when you have been broken, when you have been misused and abused, when you have been, things have been done to you, you have to seek wise counsel so that you can get direction, you can get leadership, you can get guidance, you can get someone to help you deal with the hurt and the pain. But when you just start talking to people that you know, or that you're in some type of relationship that you're not, that they can't guide you and they can't lead you right, they're going to gossip. They're going to say, girl, she told me that they, and can you believe that they, and now it's a topic for discussion. It's a gossip trio off of your bitterness, off of your hurt, and off of your pain. So the first thing, now I'm not saying you can't talk about it. What I am saying is that you have to make sure you're careful on who you talk about it with. The second way you know that you're kind of not over it, you're dealing with it, because you think about getting revenge or some kind of justice. And I'm not saying you want to go out and hurt them, but what I'm saying is you don't want them to prosper in an area. You don't want them to be successful in an area. You want them to feel pain. You want them to feel something not working right for them. You want them to know that this is what you get. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever been in a situation somebody did something, you heard something bad and be like, see, God don't like ugly. They're gonna get their little self together. Da, 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 da. And so you have to be careful with that, because now it's showing that you aren't over what they did, that you haven't forgiven them, that you haven't let go. And now you're looking for God to get them, right? And you're anticipating the moment that God going, because we know vengeance is God. We do know that. And we do know that God don't like ugly, and God will take care of people in their time for the wrongs that we did. He's not a respecter of person. That could be any of us, right? But we don't want to wish anything bad upon people. We want them to be successful, even if they did us wrong, even if they went against us and they did whatever they did to us. When you are thinking or hoping deep down within, subconsciously or consciously, that God will get them, it could be a sign that you've not forgiven them, and you're waiting on that moment to shine, for you to shine and them to look bad, right? And I put a good example of this as attending your high school reunion and showing off, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm fit to show them what I work at with. Okay, you want to talk about me and not think that I was the stuff. But you know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to show up, you got to show out, and you don't want them to show up with blessings. You don't want them to show up with increase in favor. You want them to feel something, to know that because they hurt you, because they came against you, they need to feel some kind of pain. They need to feel something coming against them. And so you just have to be careful with that, because that could very well be a sign you're not over it. The third way that you could tell that you haven't quite forgiven, is you're reliving or dwelling on the situation or the person's behavior. Now, this is something different from the first reason I gave you, because the first reason I gave you, I said you're talking about it to people. It's like a conversation, it's a topic. But when I say reliving or dwelling, now in number three, what I'm talking about is you're playing it over in your mind. You're thinking about what they did, how they did it, what they said when they said it. You're thinking about how they could have said it better. You're thinking about ways that the options that they could have done something, and that yet they chose not to. They chose to do it their way, and then doing it their way, they hurt you, and they didn't show love. And so in your mind, you're still thinking of how they said what they said, how they did what they did. So it's not necessarily that it's vocally coming out as a topic or conversation. This time you're thinking about it mentally. You're dreaming about it. You find yourself daydreaming and distracted because you're thinking about what they did, and it makes you mad. And so you got to make sure that, if you find yourself doing that, you just got to say, God, okay, that's a sign. I got to deal with this, because I keep thinking of what they did, how they did, and how they could have done better, and how nasty they were, how rude they were, how mean they were. You got to be careful with that, because that is a sign that you could be harboring bitterness and unforgiveness when God is saying, daughter, son, make sure you're forgiving. How many times, Lord? 7 times 7, 7,500. You know what I'm saying? And so you just have to be careful. The fourth sign that I want to give you, you get annoyed or bothered if someone even mentions that person. And you don't necessarily show it to them, but like you could show it to them, but sometimes you don't have to show the aggravation, but you just be like, you don't really even want to talk about them. You want to move on to the next, because you're still dealing with something in regards to them. And so there is an annoyance there. There is a bothering that is happening on the inside of you, even if someone mentions that person's name. Like, you don't even really want to talk about it or talk about them, because there's something there. If you know if you find yourself doing that, then that's a true sign. Number 5, here's another one. You have a tendency to avoid that person. You don't want to be around them. And then if you are around them, it's kind of awkward. You got that little, kind of like a butterfly, but not a butterfly, feeling in your stomach. Be like, they are here. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to talk to them. I hope they don't see me. Have you ever been there? Like, I hope they don't see me. Oh my God, there she go. There he go. Lord. Oh Lord, I gotta speak. And so if you find yourself trying to avoid that person, avoid them, then there could be something lingering there that lets you know you're not over it. Okay. Then another way that you can say that you're not over it, you haven't quite forgiven, you still got a little anger inside, a little bitterness. You are secretly delighted to hear when God done got him. Come on, y'all. When you hear that God done got him some kind of way in your head, that's how it translates. Okay, God, they did dirt to me. Vengeance is yours. You done got that. You done got him, Lord. And so when you hear that something has happened to them, inside you're kind of excited, because it makes sense to you that it happened, and you're excited that it happened. That's what they get mentality, is what I call that. So if you have that's what they get mentality, because they mess with you, because they did something to you, because they came against you, that could be a sign that you're harboring bitterness and unforgiveness in your heart. We know vengeance is God, right? And God is going to deal with people in time and in season. But if you have that's what they get mentality, you could have some unforgiveness going on. Another thing is number 7, is you strongly believe you have been unfairly treated and that you're a victim. This is what I call the victim mentality. When you're harboring on being a victim because of what they did or what they said. This could be somebody that molested you, that raped you, that lied on you, that whatever, and you want to make yourself a victim, and you want to live in that victim world. But instead of living in that victim world, you take that as your power, and you use that to go be a blessing to somebody else. And you're not trying to hold that against the person that mistreated you, molested you, raped you, or gossiped about you. One of the things at my Circle of Fabulous Women's Empowerment Summit, I had a special guest, Lady Darlene, and she was there, and she was talking about how she was raped as a child, and how she was molested and raped, and so many things happened to her. And instead of harboring on the bitterness, the victim mentality, she began to take that and use that as her power. And she began to work in places with women, with young girls that have been molested, that have been raped. And she began to pour into them and to help them, and to speak life into them. So she took what once was a victim mentality, and she used it as a power. And she said, I chose to let go. I chose to love them. I chose to forgive them. But I also chose to use that as a power to go and bless somebody else, and not hold on to a victim mentality. And so you have to be careful, because when you harbor on having that victim mentality, That's could be a sign that you're harboring something on the inside that that lets you know you have a little bit of bitterness going on. Number eight, the eighth way to tell that you still haven't let something go is you have friends or family that are tired of talking about it. Like they're like, we still talking about it, but why are you still talking about it? Just get over, let them go, because God gonna, if they gotta give you this pep talk, let it go. God gonna get them. God gonna deal with them. There's no prosperity in that, and they're encouraging you to just really let that thing go because God got it. Because they tired of hearing about them. That's a sign that you got something still there on the inside of you that you have to let go. And because people get tired of it, like people don't want to keep hearing heaviness. Like bringing drama all the time. People get tired of that and they want to hear something different. Sing a new song, okay? Sing a new song of freedom. Sing a new song of healing. Sing a new song of deliverance. Sing a new song of breakthrough. Don't sing that victim song of what they did, how they did, what they doing. Move on, because these people have definitely moved on. And so you have to be careful with that. So, have you reached these fabulous signs of forgiveness? So these are signs that we were saying, okay, if you're doing these things, those are signs that you haven't forgiven. But when you're doing these things, these are some signs that you're free. You've moved on. You're doing your thing, and you're rocking out for the Lord. Okay, when you can speak of the offense from a point of reference versus a point of pain. So I use all the time, like, if somebody did something to me or if something happened, I will use it as a testimony, as a reference, and say how I overcame, how I broke through, how I got over, my best friend doing this to me, how I got over somebody in the church that hurt me. I will use that as a testimony, not a point of pain. Okay. Now we know that there was pain involved if you really, really cared about the person or people. We know that there was pain involved and all of that, but I like to use those as a point of reference of saying this is how I overcame. If you could do that, you're on your way to forgiving. All right. And the next thing is when revenge and payback, retaliation, you don't even think about revenge. You don't even think about get them God. You don't even have that get back spirit. Like you don't care. Like you really don't care. And you're good with it. Like if they're blessed and if they got houses and cars and favor and they're in the limelight, you're okay. It's because it's not an issue with you because you've moved on. And you stuff like that, you're not allowing it to weigh you down. When you stop hiding behind, I let it go. You know what? I just let that go. And we know good and well we ain't let that go. You know good and well you still holding on. And so when you can say I'm over it, I'm done, and you can go through all of this stuff that I'm telling you, you truly are, you truly have let it go. But when you say I gotta stop hiding behind, I let it go and really deal with I'm still hurt because I think about it because I really want God to deal with them. All those signs that I gave you earlier, you could say, no, you really, you kind of not let it go. Okay. It ain't it, don't hide behind that. Instead, deal with that. Okay. Hiding unforgiveness behind denial will only prolong your pain and stunt your healing. I got to say that again. It will only prolong your pain when you hide behind, I'm over it. I let it go. When you hide behind it, it prolongs your pain and it stunts your healing. It takes work. Okay, to honestly let it go. And when you do, the pain will no longer claw its way back to the surface. You will truly be free and free indeed. And so the last thing I want to give you, when you can do this, when you can fully accept that God loves the offender just as much as he loves you, you good. You on your way. Okay. You're not hiding behind I let it go. You're not trying to avoid them. You're not trying to speak that get back spirit on them. Get them, Jesus. Get them. you know, you're good. Like whether they win, whether they lose, you're good. And here's another telltale sign, and it's not in my notes. When you could pray for them, like pray for your enemies, pray for those that have despitefully misused you. You could speak a blessing of healing, of deliverance, of breakthrough, of whatever they need in this now season. You could speak a blessing over them and say, God bless them, meet them at their point of need, and give them what they need for such a time as this. If they need healing, if they need deliverance, if they need a breakthrough, if they need a way made, God, I cover them with the blood of Jesus. So those are also signs that, hey, I'm ready to forgive and let it go. I could pray for them. I could be around them. If I see them, I'll hug their neck and say, hey, good to see you. How you doing? Now, we ain't finna be best buddies and nothing like that. But I will let them know, good to see you. How you doing? And I'll, well, okay, God bless you. Keep it moving. Now, because sometimes, those relationships, the reconciliation, and a lot of that stuff is just the forgiveness. The reconciliation is not, oh, we back being best buddies or family, like down like four flat tires. The reconciliation is usually in saying, no, I forgave. That's my reconciliation, because I reconciled myself. I got it right with God and I got it right with them, whether they forgave me or whether they love me or whether they want to deal with me. Doesn't matter. The reconciliation came from you saying, I forgive. Now, some relationships can be reconciled back to the fullness of where they were. They can be better. But a lot of times, reconciliation is just simply you saying, I forgive, and I let them go, and I move on. Okay. All right. That's all I have for you. So I pray that helps someone to realize, have I truly forgiven? Have I truly let go? And if I haven't, Lord, help me to do the work so that I can be free, because they're free. They're like, those people are truly free. And I gotta tell y'all, like, this is the post that I put on Facebook. I'm gonna share that with you. The post that I put on Facebook, it talked about that, and I'm gonna share that with you here. It says, forgive them and move on. Don't let unforgiveness keep you in jail while they're out living their best life. And so you want to make sure that you're doing your part to say, okay, I can't be in jail while they partying all the time and not even thinking about me. You got to know that you are not holding on to anything, because you have made up in your mind that you are going to be free, and whom the Son sets free is truly, truly free indeed. Okay. So I just want to encourage you, and I pray that this bless you. Tag someone, share this, do something so that other people can be free, just like you, just like me. We work on our soul salvation every day, because our salvation is our hope until the end. We could be saved today and going to hell tomorrow because we chose to serve other gods. We chose not to forgive, because again, forgiveness is a salvation issue. And when we choose to not forgive, we choose to not have God. We choose to put our own selfishness, our own arrogance before God, and we choose to not have love. And God tells us that if we don't have love, we certainly don't have him. And I don't know about you, but bitterness and unforgiveness is not worth my soul salvation. Okay. So, all right, that's it, y'all. I'm going to get out of here. Make sure you follow me on Apple Podcasts and doing all those fabulous things so that, we can reach more and more people. But just know I'll be back next week with another fabulous episode of Fab Talk with your girl, Trish M. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Fab Talk with Trish M. Do your girl a favor. Share this broadcast on all your social media platforms. Invite a friend to tune in. Help this podcast reach the nation. We all need Jesus, y'all. You sharing this broadcast helps me to reach the masses. If I'm blessing you, then bless your girl back. Share the broadcast. Give me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. I got work to do for the King, and I need your help. I appreciate you tuning in to this segment. I'm looking forward to rocking with you on the next episode of Fab Talk with your girl, Trish M.